surroundings. We've talked about the offense last couple of series, but how much does it just help? You think it will help just getting back here?
Oh yeah, I mean everybody knows we play really good at home. Our team's built for this ballpark. Just everything's comfortable, right? I mean, it's your locker room, it's your team room, it's your bed at night. So yeah, no, I mean, it feels really good to be back at Foley Field. And yeah, we're going to get after it today.
What do the underlying numbers show you about the hitting of late? Is there some encouraging signs there?
Oh yeah. I thought, you're sitting here going, okay, this guy's really crazy. We got blanked and had 3 hits last night, but there were things I saw. I thought Nolan McCarthy, who's been in a little bit of a funk, obviously got off a couple of really nice swings. We need him to get going. This guy knows the league. Henry Hunter hit some left-handers last night and hit the ball hard. Daniel Jackson hit a ball 106, 108. I can't remember. Looked at a lot of numbers today. 106, 108, somewhere in that ball, and probably if we're here, well, I don't know. I mean, the air was so thick last night. I don't know but those are things when, and I could talk about Kobe Bryant continues to, get into the box. I thought he got off some good swings yesterday. Got to hit there in the 6-hole line drive. So yeah, we're seeing some guys moving in the right direction. Now we just gotta string them back together.
I know Trey didn't have a hit in this at bat. He got down 0-2 at one point and allowed 7th and whatever, and he worked a walk.
Yeah,
chase.
Those are things that we weren't doing this past weekend. To your point, when you start, we had a couple of those at bats, last night, and those are signs of like, okay, it's coming. Guys are, we were Trey chased in that very situation this past weekend a couple times in game 2 and didn't walk and struck out. So, those are things that you're looking at and going, okay, we're coming back.
What makes the Witherspoon so effective for Oklahoma, the Twins?
The
pitchers.
Oh, what makes them effective?
Yes.
Well, just what makes most pitchers effective. They've got Kyson's got I really call it a 3-pitch mix. He may call it 4. I don't know. I don't want to speak for him, obviously, by any means, but really commands his fastball, and then he's able to throw a cutter and a slider off of that. Every now and then he'll show you a changeup or a curveball, but for the most part, he's gonna live and die with those pitches, and he commands them really well. And Malachi's just a little different fastball shape, so his stuff plays different than Kyson's carry. The other one's a little more run and sink, not sink, but more just flatter run. And so but they both command. So, and then they've got velocity to go with it. They're both going to be up around 98.
As a coach who's been in this league for as long as you have, the players get the grind, I guess, and they don't worry about putting one series above another, putting more importance. That kind of thing. That's something you as a coach have to constantly remind them of.
You better remind them of it every day. The thing in our league that I've said for years is, you catch a pitching staff or an offense and they're hot, boy, it's going to be all you got to find a way to get one. Tip your hat to Vanderbilt last weekend. They executed a lot of pitches on us. That when you look at when they haven't won ball games, what's happened with that pitching staff, and they didn't execute those pitches. Well, they did against us. So the pitching staff was really, really hot. Same thing when you get teams, whose offense is really hot, and it's like it doesn't matter. You feel like you're shooting a BB gun up there and they're hitting it. It doesn't matter what you do. So I think that's why you can't put too much emphasis on one series versus another. They're all really good. Everybody in our league has talent. Everybody practices. Everybody lifts weights. So it's, can you just come in, slow the game down, stay in your approach and fight?
What's the biggest steps your weekend starters have taken over the last 2 weeks? I know Cole had a little bit of a tough go, but otherwise it's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, no, just a lot of work, getting back to, not forgetting who they are, trying to not so much pitch to a scouting report as pitch to what we do well. And yeah, there are some times you got to be careful because, you know, I mean, maybe a guy's a really good fastball hitter, you know, to use that. And yeah, you're going to have to mix your pitches more, but I think we've just gotten back to going, no, what makes you really good? And we're pitching with that as opposed to this guy hits sliders, so don't throw him a slider. This guy hits a fastball, don't, you know, we've gotten away from all that.
What will be the emphasis with your guys with how Oklahoma runs the bases?
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, I thought we did a really good job at, for the most part, at Vanderbilt because they, you know, they're 1 to Oklahoma and Vandy are 1-2 in stolen bases. So we got a lot of work last weekend. We got to carry that over. It's no different. Hold the baseball, pick, mix your times to the plate, all those things. Don't get in a rhythm. You get in a rhythm, they're going.
I know you don't like guys having one role, but when you decided to move Curley into the rotation, how did you weigh that with losing him as the closer?
Well, I wouldn't say he was our closer.
Yeah.
So I just say he was a really good. Yeah, we knew Brian. You know, we eventually wanted to start him. We had to make sure some other guys could come out of the pen first and would be fine. Once you got a little more comfort with some other guys coming out of the pen, then it was like, okay, we can move him to start.
What's your thought? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So what's your thoughts on how Devin Obie's been playing this year, and like what does he mean to like the team and like hitting this year?
Yeah, Devin does really well. You know, he's one of the guys who's hit left-handed pitching really well this year for us. And then, you know, gosh, I mean, had some really good center fielders in my time. I've got a couple now that, you know, I coached in this league that have played in the big leagues. So he's got that kind of defensive capability. So that helps your pitching staff. Those are called, you know, he's called an ERA saver out there because he goes and catches balls. And but no, just a lot, man. You know, especially for a guy who come in as a semester and come in and you know, lead and then just be as much of a you know, a staple in our lineup as he's been. It says a lot about him as a person.
Are you encouraged by what you saw from Alton Davis last night, and what are you looking forward to, you know, kind of getting going more?
Yeah, I thought, you know, believe it or not, I mean, you go back and obviously I look at a little more than what the box score says. Alton threw the ball really well at Vandy, threw it really well at Truist. A guy hit a ball off of Alton for a single. I think the exit velocity was 64. So, you know, I mean, those, you can't get mad at yourself or your pitcher for giving up a hit on a 64-mile-an-hour hit. So we've been seeing it coming. You know, we've had to make a lot of changes and do some things. And you wish you had more time, but you don't. And I think what you saw last night is hopefully what we're going to continue to get down the stretch.
I got to ask you after the game last night, the throw that Jackson made to get the run at home plate, big leagues that you get, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like I've told guys about Daniel Jackson. Daniel Jackson's one of the most athletic players we have in our program when it comes to running and jumping and all of these other things, right? And so for him to go out, he's got a, you know, he obviously catches and he's got a really good arm. So we knew he had an arm. You know, heck, I thought the throw he made in the, you know, the one time they didn't go, you know, was just as good and just as strong. And on the fly ball he caught out there. So, yeah, and it was funny as I brought him in, I said, hey, keep doing that. We may need that later in the game. You know, I was just trying to be encouraging and positive, and then we needed it later in the game, and he made the throw. So, yeah.
On the note of Alton, he's talked about how he's an emotional guy on the mound. How do you get him to control those and use them, like, in the right way?
Sometimes you don't want him to control them as much, but you just got under, you know, it's like I tell those guys, like, we call them adrenaline dumps. You know, your challenge becomes then at that point, did you have an adrenaline dump? And if you did, then it's really hard for me to send you back out the second inning because your stuff will be flatter. You know, so sometimes I wouldn't say you try to control it as much as you try to harness it to maybe where you can get multiple innings out of it.
Last question.
Ryland's kind of made an immediate impact as a transfer. What's your favorite thing you've seen about him as both a player and a person?
Mm-hmm. We don't have that long. I would just say that, you know, just his knowledge of the game, what he brings in the dugout, you know, as he's watching the game as far as what the other pitcher's doing. He's very, very, I guess he can articulate what he's seen very well. And besides of obviously just being really good, playing anywhere, talking the game all the time, I would say that's probably it. So.